are watching us today. I had the opportunity to do a little live Facebook video the other day, and you all joined in and began the conversation. I was driving behind the wheel. I was so excited about the meeting that I was headed to, and so many of you chimed in and gave us your positive comments, because we know together we are reaching this globe with good news. But Kevin, tonight I really want us to talk about the miracle of Belgium. You know, we have Spain in the news. We have other terrorist activities that are in the news once again. And this really is the hour that we should be acting in Europe.
You know, we picked up the signal 2 years ago, and it took us that long to get all the preparations and all the connections made so that we could launch into Europe. And now with Spain the way it is, we're getting phone calls right now concerning how can we come back? Can we do it again? Can we go to another country?
Yeah, you know, perhaps our partners don't really understand just how much work is involved in breaking into a new territory. Because, Kevin, I believe we had at least 4 or 5 different setup teams, if you will, and evangelists that actually went into Belgium. We started 8 months. Belgium thinks we started just a couple of months, but we started 8 months or a year knocking on doors, meeting with leaders, sending people to Belgium so that we could make that connection, because Belgium was in our hearts.
Yes, yeah. And there's a lot of countries there, 40 nations in Europe, but we needed to launch, we needed to have a successful launch on the first one.
Well, why Belgium, Kevin? Why would we launch in Belgium? You know, the people of Belgium said to us, "Oh, we're just a small country. You know, we're afraid of you Americans. We're just a very small country." And I remember looking at our dear friends in Belgium and thinking, "You think you're small? The whole earth looks at you and we say, you're Belgium, the seat of Europe, with the European Union headquartered right in the heart of your country."
Yeah, downtown Brussels, probably close to 200 offices of other countries right there in the downtown.
Yeah, and so it's been a real privilege for us to join in the adventure and move that adventure from those territories of the eastern part of the Soviet Union and moving across actually into Western Europe. And Kevin, we have a wonderful announcement for our partners. You know, when we dedicated that tent in Belgium, we had the wonderful opportunity to not only dedicate that tent, but there was a tent standing on the shore of Belgium, the shores of Belgium, at the English Channel. And at just exactly that same moment, a tent was going up in Sakhalin on the Japan Sea.
Mm-hmm. Both sides of the continent were covered with tent ministry.
And it's amazing to believe, and for our partners who are listening, we began with one tent in 1998. And Kevin, the good news is we're coming up on 2018, gonna celebrate 20 years of the tent project, and my anticipation is that in 2018 we will be celebrating completion of phase 1 of the Tent 100 project. What does that mean? 100 tents with that are being used by youth groups, that are being used by evangelism teams, that are being used by individuals and churches. 100 tents, and we're gonna all join, call our partners together from across America and Europe and the globe to celebrate with us here in Daytona Beach.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of believers when those 5 evangelists and 1 tent went up in the Chernobyl region, and it was kind of a scary thing to do it there, but it worked out, and we're still going. one after another, then multiplied into 10, then 20, then 30, then 40.
And the factory went up. And when that factory went up, that's really when the multiplication began. Because we were able to go beyond just the teams that we were training, and we were able to reach into other groups and other areas and provide them with their own mobile evangelism units and their own camps where they, oh my goodness, they bring thousands of youth together, and thousands of youth are born again through those tents.
Yeah, it's a movement. It really is a regular, real movement of Christianity in an area that it was gone. It was actually considered taboo. It was considered not allowed. You're going to kill yourself if you become a Christian. And here they are looking for God, and those tents went out.
So, headlines, everybody. You are our friends. You are our partners, and you have made this a reality. And,
Yeah.
you know, reaching 100 doesn't mean we're finished. As one of our partners wrote on our timeline, Kevin and Leslie, I'm excited for you. It's only the beginning.
It is. It's 100 that we've reached, but you know what? There's another 100 that now Europe needs. And then India called and they said, would you give us 1,000 because we need more than the usual country?
Well, and the Ukraine's asking for 50 tents. So we've got a lot of requests out there. But let's talk about Belgium. Let's go back to, because Kevin, I've jumped ahead. I've jumped ahead and moved on into 2018 and really what our goal is to complete phase 1 of the 100 tent project. But let's back up, because we had quite a miracle this summer in Belgium.
Yep.
Bringing together various teams. You know, it's one thing when you come into an area and you do a conference, but it's an entirely different thing when you come into that area and when you bring with you teams that are trained, and you bring a tent, and you bring a bus with a tent project, and you bring a cafe, and you bring music teams, and you bring special talent, and you bring all of the workers. You know, they told us, you know, what were the leaders of Belgium saying? They said to us, if you had come 2 years ago, you know, we would not have been ready.
Yeah.
But now you've come, and you've come at just exactly the right time.
Yeah, and they all came, all the leaders, and it's very unusual to have so many leaders of so many different denominations understanding and cooperating and wanting this to happen in their country. So I'm excited about what began, and we had a number of surprises there in Belgium with the excitement of the youth, with the fact that the work that we were doing in Africa years ago, and the fruit of that work, now we were seeing some of that fruit right there in Belgium.
Yeah, well, what's happened so far? You know, Kevin, I've got some videos that are plugged up for us, and like you said, everything that we've been building, partners, what has been accomplished by coming together with the teams, the Russian-speaking teams from the Baltics, the Ukraine, Russia, and then on into Eastern Europe, and then our work across French Africa and working with leaders who came to these meetings out of French Africa, we all converged together in Belgium for a fabulous launch. And so we've got some videos we want to show people. You know, somebody said to me, Leslie, after watching your video, the videos that you were posting, I have a question. Why were there so many Africans present in all of your meetings? Mm-hmm. And you know, it's interesting because not only have we dedicated a tent to Belgium, but we have also made that tent available to be used by several groups, but not just in dedicating that tent to Belgium. Kevin, we had the opportunity to meet in one of those historical churches in downtown Belgium. And when we met in that church, the pastor there at the Praise Center has been in ministry for many years. And I remember we got up and we were preaching. We were kind of tag team preaching on that day. And I heard myself say these words: Europe is not a refuge for Africans. It is the destiny of Africa to reach Europe with the good news.
And boy, did that resonate to the audience, which there were probably 70% of French Africa or West Africa were in the meeting, and they were jumping up, and ambassadors from two of the nations there in Africa were in the audience. They jumped up, and then the pastor jumped up.
They jumped up and they said, "This is the millennia of Africa." This is our time, in other words.
Yes.
God has sent us to Europe not to be refugees, they were telling us, but this is our time.
Yeah, there's a plan here. There's a purpose here. There's a reason for us to migrate all the way from our countries to this country and to this region.
Now listen, I read this from a New York Times article, actually even when we were in that church. Revival is an eternal theme in the history of Christianity. Time after time, evangelical fervor ignites, burns itself out, and then reemerges in some altered and surprising form, in constant cycles of migration and renewal. 7 years ago, a book titled The Next Christendom predicted that the global South would eventually come to represent Christianity's center of gravity. And this is what we've discovered. The global South has become a tremendous missionary sending place, Latin America and Africa, and now they are sending missionaries all across Europe. And we've had the privilege of working with them. You know, in 2000, God whispered to Dr. T.L. Osborne, do not give up on the French. Do not give up, but go in the back door.
That's true. And it was the same time that the Lord was speaking to us as we were on a plane saying, and this is in the middle of launching the tent project, the Lord speaks to us and says, I'm sending you to Africa. We couldn't understand that at all. But God has a super strategy that he just gives us bits and pieces of it as we begin to move.
Yeah, and it's exciting. So there we went to 7 French African nations, sending tens of thousands of young Africans to Europe while evangelizing millions in their own countries.
Yes, yeah.
So we see the divine strategy of the Lord, all of this work that we've done in that Tent 100 project, coming together with all the work that we've done across French Africa, the two of those dovetailing together on the continent of Europe. And listen to me, if you're there in Europe and you're listening to us today, we understand that we walk in the footsteps of you who have labored diligently across Europe. We've heard you say time and time again, we were here working, we were here preparing, and we've seen it. And the Praise Center was one of those examples. Pastor Eugenia was another example. Pastor David Vanderput. We talked with so many tremendous leaders who have been mobilizing the body of Christ. And they said, just the right time, you've come now.
And Apostle Daniel, who put so much of his time and energy into equipping and helping the people that were in the meetings, and helping us logistically get things done with people moving and housing and food. And I just, hats off to him.
Yeah, and I'd like us to play one of the videos because I'd like them to hear Pastor Eugenia speak about what the iMove program could, the potential of what it was going to create actually in Belgium.
Okay, Pastor Eugenia, I'm so excited. This big tent is already on and we're expecting such great things. And I'm hearing like people are talking about iMove. And I know that you just started, you helped us to launch this iMove in Belgium. And I know you have a great expectation. I would like to ask you to share, what do you think this event will bring for the Belgium and people in Europe?
I believe God for a great move in the spirit, but also a great move in the church. I believe God moving people out of the church, really initiating an open world's church. It's the time for the church to move out of their comfortable buildings and places to reach out to where really the need is. And I believe there is a great momentum and a great initiation and igniting something new. Yes.
Do you think there is a need for training? There is any need for additional ideas how to reach?
If there is any need in the church right now, that's the need now, really. I have so much confidence and trust in the ministry that you are doing worldwide, and I believe this is exactly what we need right now. We don't need another evangelist to do it for us. We don't need another big conference. We need us to be trained to do the great works that Jesus spoke of. Greater things you shall do.
You just had a little time with Dr. McNuly's. What do you think? Is their message is going to be something that will bring some...
It is the message that we need right now. It is a very simple message. It's the message that we've heard. It's not something new, but it's the message that we need right now, to be reminded of what we have been called for. And I believe there is a great impartation, because this is a ministry that has been walking on that grace for so many years in tough grounds, even in Russia and in Muslim countries. And this is exactly what we need. Europe and Belgium are very unreached. There's a lot of activity within the church, but we need to move outside. Probably the work in Mongolia is different, but at the same time the same, because Europe is also unreached. People do not know what really the message is. There's a great gap with the fall, to say so, of the traditional church, and there is a need for a new thing to arise, and the church needs to move out and bring that message.
Hallelujah, wonderful. Pastor Eugene, you have 15 seconds. Those young people right there behind this camera, what do you want to say to them? How you want to invite them to this
I
IMO?
want to tell you there is such a great need. The youth today doesn't know anything about Christ, doesn't know anything about the gospel. And they're hungry and they're looking for the real thing in the wrong places. You need to rise up and to challenge your generation. You need to come to be trained and to bring the message on. They need you. They need to hear it from young people like you. And you need to get that grace to pass it on. You are the hope for this nation.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Pastor Eugenia. Hey, you heard this. This is your time. Come and join iMove today. Go to imove.life and register. If you've missed this information, go now and register now. If you forgot about registration, just come on Monday, 6 p.m. We're launching in Kortrijk. The information you will find on the screen right there. God bless you. Hey, join iMove. God will not move until you move.
This is the place to be.
You know, Kevin, Pastor Eugenia really excites me. She is a leader among leaders, and we had the opportunity to participate in the Ghent Festival when we were there. She had her church and her people out there in the streets, and we were able to bring in the cafe and some of our team members with them. They are all about getting outside of the church walls and reaching their nation.
And one thing I loved about her is that she recognized the simplicity of the message we were bringing, because it wasn't in theologies that we were coming. It wasn't in accuracy of each word, but it was in the reality that Jesus is alive and will demonstrate that this gospel comes with a demonstration of it. It comes with a lift to those that are down. It comes with a healing to those that are sick. It comes with a peace to those that are in fear.
Yeah, and that is the message that we're bringing to Europe. We have discovered that, you know, I wrote on my Facebook the other day that if Jesus needed miracles, don't you think we need miracles? And actually someone posted, no. and I thought about that. I thought, my goodness. And we were speaking with a preacher today who was telling of the Muslims who had come to Christ because of the witness of one miracle in their meeting. And we were sharing the witness of miracles that we've seen in our meetings, and how that will dramatically touch the life of a Muslim. And then they understand this Jesus that they've heard about, he is alive. He is not just, he truly has risen from the dead.
Yeah, the message without the messenger. In other words, if there's no evidence of the living messenger, then the message just becomes another religion. But ours is not another religion. It is the presentation of the living Christ.
I'd like us to take a look at another video, because this is a video done by Apostle Daniel. And Apostle Daniel, along with Pastor Eugenia, they really, and this awesome family that gave us a farm there in Belgium to use for the entire time of our event, these individuals made this miracle of Belgium a reality. So let's watch.
This iMove evangelist training program has happened here in Kortrijk, Belgium, which is, yesterday I got to know that people came from all over different cities in Belgium, and it was very exciting. This has been a very important training program. For one thing, it has created excitement, you know, from all the testimonies that Dr. Kevin and Leslie McNuly's have shared of their own personal experiences. This has created a lot of hope in the hearts of people. Motivation has been created out of this meeting, out of this training program. And I think that really it has been an injection of a new life into the spiritual life of Christians in Belgium. Many people are living here with strong motivation not to do like they were doing before, but to move. And something is going to happen. We are praying and we are listening to God, what God is going to tell us to do. And so when we know what we are going to do, we are coming to announce it. But we are not sitting down. We are moving. I mean, the I Move movement has already started, and it's really exciting.
We are so excited. Apostle Daniel, little did we know, Kevin, I'm thinking that we met Apostle Daniel through Pastor William Brown of France, who was the man who organized that great Osborne meeting that we did together across in Paris, France in 2006.
It's historic. That was historic. They said they have not seen anything like that since 1901.
And so Pastor William Brown, I told him, I said, we're going into Belgium. He says, I've got a friend in Belgium. Little did we know that this friend would be the man who would provide housing and have the connection with the camp that would provide a miracle where we were able to put up our tent and all gather together and sleep in this farm, eat together, pray together, worship together, and really come together in vision and in excitement and preparation for reaching the harvest of Europe.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I tell you what, without the people here in America that were believing in us and
Yes.
believing in themselves
Yes.
and believing that we are a team. Sometimes, they're not there. They can't see, they can't feel it. But these people who are there, they're sharing, wow, this is what's happened. They've been in a dry place for a long time, and now we came with this refreshing water, and they're feeling it. You see, you can feel it in their energy when they're speaking.
Yeah, and our partners need to know that, we get a text in the middle of the night from a businessman that says, what's your bank account? And this awesome wire comes into the bank account that helps cover the cost of the event. The last trip before that, someone else says, let me send you 2 or 3 checks so we can, and you are responding. You make these things possible. And there is great fruit that is abounding to your account. And we thank you for your partnership, and we thank you for your friendship in this gospel. But Kevin, the Belgian people partnered greatly in this outreach as well. And I want them to see, because, Akob has a family, and he's been the international outreach director really with this ministry coming on 20 years. I think it'll be 20 years next year. He's been functioning in some level as a director for this tent ministry.
And I think he's 21 years old, so it's amazing.
At least when we first met him, one of his children wasn't born yet, who happens to be here in the studio with us today. And the other one was just a small baby. And so we've kind of all grown up together in the ministry. But Akob made some real miracles happen by finding and working with Apostle Daniel and working with this camp. So I want us to take a look at a video clip that Akob did as we began preparations for that project there in Belgium. And then I'm going to invite him on camera to share some of the story with you personally.
Hey, are we recording? Hey friends, welcome to iMove. Do you see what's happening right there? We're setting up our first tent. This is a gospel tent. Have you ever asked if God can use me to reach thousands of people? Or if God can use me to reach my nation? Have you ever asked those questions? Can I be effective? Can I be successful? Have you thinking about this and asking those questions? This training is for you. And we're setting up this tent, and this Monday we're going to bring hundreds of people here in this Kortrijk area. Whoa. And we're going to train you, we're going to help you to reach more people. We're going to encourage you, and iMove is going to bring great training. Hey guys, Are you happy? Are you joining the...
Est-ce qu'on est content d'être là?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what you're expecting from this event? Do you think that this event can change people?
Alors qu'est-ce que tu attends de cet événement? Tu penses que cet événement peut changer les gens?
Franchement, cet événement
il peut vous changer et peut changer beaucoup de gens. Mais c'est à vous de ne pas rater. Mais venez nombreux parce qu'il y aura beaucoup de choses. C'est incroyable. Voyez comment ça se passe. Voyez comment le temple est si grand et si vaste. Et tellement que même la place est si nombreuse. N'en ratez pas parce que c'est pour vous. À ne pas rater.
What is that? Just help me, Jeff.
So he's so excited about being here, and he says nobody should miss this event. Everybody should come. The place is big, the organization is very big, and something great is going to happen here. So don't miss the event. That's what he's saying.
Hey, if you have never heard about this event, this is your time. You say, oh, it's late. I already booked my vacation. Hey, you have to cancel your vacation. You have to be here because something great is going to happen. And this day, this event will change your nation. Amen?
Amen.
Come and join us.
Yes.
I move. You move. You.
Just imagine, Akob, that just a few months ago, we were still knocking on the door trying to find where we would be in Belgium. And there's a tent that's now been dedicated in Belgium, and it's being used.
And it's a miracle. Yeah, when we spoke with the leaders and we were presenting the project, everything was just an idea for them.
Yeah.
That they heard that it works somewhere, and they're wondering if this same model can work in Europe or can work in Belgium.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that we brought the tent is a miracle and demonstration of the seriousness of your dedication for the
They were
nation.
surprised to see so many different groups from different nations showing up at this site in the farmyards, and all of a sudden you've got all these languages speaking and all these people who know what they're doing.
I think one of the most interesting things that I remember them saying to me, they were following us around saying, where did you get this awesome team? And how did you get such loyalty from all of these people? And I'm thinking, they're just awesome people and they have wonderful ministries. But you know, that's something, and Akob, I compliment you on this, and all of our team, because our Russian team committed to getting a tent ready for Belgium. Our Estonian team over there, they committed to getting the bus tent project ready. And poor Akob, I don't think he saw his family for a very long time. He committed to making sure we got off the ground and we found the places. So tell us a little bit about the story.
When we made a decision to go to Belgium, and we've choose to go instead of like October, we decided to go in like July.
Yeah.
That was a big surprise. But knowing our experience working 20 years with you, I know there's nothing impossible. So when you said we're gonna do it in July, I said okay, we're gonna do it.
July. and then we didn't stop there. And then I remember I called you and I said, we got to set up a tent in Belgium. If we're going to do this, we've got to have a tent. This cannot just be an indoor conference. We've got to have a tent.
Yeah, the idea actually came instead of going indoor and training them to bring them a model, to demonstrate the model, to give them a picture of the vision of how it looks, the tents and the bus and teams and the platforms. So
Yeah,
that was a great idea.
The bus was never done before, and here we bring a bus tent. And we had to believe God because it was leaking oil all the way to the site, and that we had to keep that thing full of oil in order to get there.
Yeah, tell about some of the miracles because, Johannes, the team there shows up with the bus. They put up 3 tents. I guess they drive onto the territory, and the bus kind of goes. And the beautiful thing is this place where you had found and Apostle Daniel had made the connection. That man, it appeared that he had been saving things for 25 years so that he would be ready for the moment we arrived.
Yeah, when Apostle Daniel mentioned about this farm, he took me over that place to introduce the area and to introduce the family. And I first time met Joshua and Elizabeth and their wonderful family with 6 children.
6 workers, all girls.
Yeah, girls.
Girls.
Ladies,
Yeah.
we can do great things for God.
All of our workforce was girls.
And when I was looking the property, and I was not that enthusiastic that everything can be prepared by the event time.
Well, it's a 17th century facility, and it looked like it stayed that way.
Well, parts of it. They were a family with a vision, and we were a motivation to push that vision along.
Yeah, that's why they've put all their efforts with the whole family, with their personal finances. They've poured lots of concrete in the area where we're going to accommodate people and feed people. So they really put out all the efforts they could, and they made it
Was it like
possible.
20,000 or 25,000 euros they themselves put into the facility?
Yes, that's what they actually did. They actually maybe would do it anyway, but because of the vision, and they were ready to receive those thousands, hundreds of people. And actually, they do have a vision that in the future they're gonna enlarge and receive thousands of people.
And wasn't
We'll
it
be there. Hey, get ready, we're coming.
wasn't it like 40 years ago they had a vision or a dream that this was going to happen one day?
Their dad had that vision, and with that vision, the miracle came, and they've bought that farm.
It's a beautiful farm, by the way.
And somebody actually paid for the whole farm, and that became the miracle. So from that point, he said that the wallet I have is a God's wallet. So every time I have to do something for God, I know this is God's wallet. That's why they were so generous with their seeds.
It was amazing.
Yeah. And they paid for lots of food and groceries.
And they did.
And
They
they
sowed a
had
big seed.
we came without platform, so
You got to imagine this, folks. We're in a 17th century farm, and I understand that, when a Cobb went in to look at those dormitories, there was just construction stuff laying all over the floors, and they're saying, well, we can put the girls over here and the boys over here, and we can do this and we can do that, and we can go over here, and here's the dirt floor outside where we can serve all of the food. And that must have been a real challenge to your eyesight.
yeah. I would say we are kind of used to this kind of challenge during the tent ministry because we went through the storms. We went through
yes.
when we had to put build chairs on the buckets, So we know all that kind of stuff. But
3,000 buckets. And the border couldn't believe that we weren't selling. You're selling those buckets. No, those buckets are our chairs.
And that idea came from a partner out in Arizona. He said, why don't you just take buckets? And then we came up with the idea, and we'll just run boards across the buckets and we'll screw them onto the buckets.
But I was very pleased that the Elizabeth and Joshua, they were so flexible to use what they have on their property. So, and they were not thinking about how they're going to do it. They just knew we'll find a solution. And Joshua normally would say, if we have a problem, we'll find a solution.
Yeah.
So that was his attitude.
And that really is the attitude of evangelism. If you're not up for adventure, remember the name. Let's see, I have to put it up here in front of my face. It says, I move into adventure. And that really is the reality. Life at Christian Adventures is an adventure, but life in evangelism is an adventure because you have a short period of time where you have to accomplish a great deal of work, and you don't always get the benefit of laying out. If the enemy knows too much about your plan, sometimes he has the opportunity to stop that plan.
How do we say it? I move.
You move, we move
together.
Wow, this is the first time that we've gotten that right. Well, Jacob, it was a tremendous event, and we really offer our thanks to you because, I seldom do you look at a Christian and think, they kind of look like a staggering drunk, but sometimes you look that way because it was from pure exhaustion. With all the pulls that were coming from him from all the different directions. But you really pulled it off. And not only you, but the team from Russia, the team from Estonia, Apostle Daniel's team, Eugenia's people, the church there in Kortrijk that gave us food for the outreach. There were just a myriad of people who really made this a reality.
Yeah, and the denominations of Belgium actually came, watched, and they got excited about evangelism in Belgium.
And so I want us to talk just for a moment about what's next, Jacob, because we right now, as we began the program today, there's a new banner that was behind us, and it said, "An East East meets West. And of course you're blocking it right now, but that's okay. But it says East meets West. And so right now on the agenda before us, we've got another event happening in Norway. And I want us to tell you a little bit about what's happening in Norway, because there is the significance with the East meeting the West.
Yes, it's a very important meeting that we're going to have. I think we have, in my understanding, right, that we have probably 10 other nations that are going to be sending some
I think
people.
it's going to be over 10 nations. And the whole idea that we're connecting East with the experience of evangelism and tent evangelism in a tough ground, bringing now and demonstrating and connecting them with European leaders that open their hearts and they believe to that vision that the same thing can work in their nations, like Pastor Eugenia mentioned. So we know that if it works in Mongolia, if it works in Russia, definitely can work here in Europe as well.
In Europe.
I know there are groups coming in from France. I know that there are other groups coming in. We just talked to a great minister from England today, and he's coming. And so there's impact that's going to be happening around the world right now.
Yeah, and I don't know, I've tried to express to people it's not the sheer size of the conference that's important, but it's the strategic and key leaders that are coming. Because this is a time where we are going to pray together, fellowship together, we are going to strategize together, we are going to mobilize together, and of course, Kevin and I will be privileged to deliver a word that I believe will energize everyone and revitalize them for the works that are ahead of them.
Yes, and I'm communicating almost every day with different leaders and sharing the vision about this conference. And many of them, they're actually changing their plans. They're changing their previous plans to be on that conference because they do understand the importance of that.
That happened today on the phone.
Yeah, we've got a wonderful minister coming out of Great Britain, and he said, I'm setting my tent up at that time. He said, I don't know how, I didn't make the connection. He said, but I've got someone who's going to speak in my stead, so I'm coming for a couple of days to be with you. Got another man planning a church that's going to be with us, using a tent in another part of the country, and he's planning on coming. So we just really want to thank you for being a part of this, and so much to share. In October, we're going to have the opportunity also to go back to Belgium to meet with some leaders. We'll also be over there in Switzerland meeting with European leaders. And we've got outreaches planned for Belgium before the end of the year. They'll be using the tent, not us, but they're going to be using the tent. And then we'll be planning for what's going on in 2018, because Pastor Eugenia, I'm looking forward, that great conversation that you and I had in the cafe tent as we discuss the possibilities of what could happen on Bible Day in Antwerp. We haven't forgotten. We are praying. We are standing with you, and we are believing. And we thank you for your labor of love. And I want to say to the group in Brussels, to Apostle Daniel's team and those leaders there and the group over there in Kortrijk, we love you. We thank you. And we look forward to being together again very, very soon.
Yes, we learned a long time ago, just like David when he faced the Philistines, and after the initial killing of the giant, he didn't stop there. You didn't stop and rest and say the giants said no. He moved all of Israel into the Philistine lands, and the real victory was in the victory over the Philistines, the enemy. And what you got to move. Once you have a victory, that's the beginning of a movement. And this victory in in Belgium, this is the beginning of a movement, and we are totally aware of that. We learned that many, many years ago as we were crisscrossing Russia, that you've got to take any victory and keep it moving forward. And we're moving forward, I guarantee you, in Belgium.
250,000 villages are without a gospel witness, without a church. We have a goal with our associate ministries to train 1 million soul winners for Europe. We've begun in Belgium, and we've got great plans before us. We're talking about Tour de France next year, what we can do there with the bus tent project. We're talking about what we can do in Barcelona next year with the bus tent project and an iMove training program. We'll be in discussions for Albania, discussions for southern France. So there's a lot on the end. Discussions. Go ahead, Akob, you say
What
it.
about America?
Come on, tell us. What about America?
So we cannot leave America, and it's time to bring tents to America as well.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to hear that the American dream pops up every now and then, and you say, well, what's that? That was from a prior season. That was from another generation.
No.
But you know what? I was just in meetings on this, and the nickel dropped. I understand now.
As you say, it's not a nickel. We need a lot more than a nickel to drop.
well, the idea dropped.
Okay, there we go.
And I realized that when talking with young people today, not one of them have ever been in a tent. And a tent, has no doors. And you know where the devil likes to hang out? The devil's favorite place to hang out is at the door of a church. That's where he wants to stop people from going in, and he'll put all sorts of ideas in their head not to open up and go into a building. But you can't stop a tent because there's no doors. There's so many accesses to it. It's beautiful, and we're going to open up all those places so that people can freely walk in. We have so many wonderful stories about people thinking it was some sort of circus, thinking it was some sort of bar, thinking it was something party than what it was, and or people coming in thinking that they were going to disrupt it, and they end up getting saved, coming to the altar, and becoming great leaders.
Should we invite teams from Eurasia as well to help us to launch?
Absolutely. I think you can put your microphone. Yeah. I think the one thing we learned from Belgium is that it would not have been a success without the beauty of all of our teams. I think we've just lost some sound. It would not be a success without the beauty of all of our Eurasian teams. And we're inviting you to fall of 2018 to Daytona Beach, Florida, and together we will launch here in the United States.
Amen.
In the United States, at the greatest beach in the world,
Woohoo!
going from shore to shore. World's most famous beach. Isn't that what they call this place?
Yeah, carrying the good news. So, in 2016, the Lord spoke to me. He said, get ready. Another Jesus movement is coming to America. Folks, we are getting ready together. We can do this. And we will tell you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking, we have got so many countries moving, and here we are moving America.
Amen. We need another Acobe. 2 or 3 Acobes. So I want us to close tonight. We have a cute little video where Kevin and I just gave an overview of what Belgium looks like. I want us to roll out with that. But as we do, or before we do that, we want you to know how much we appreciate you, how much we believe in you, and thank you for being a part. Every Tuesday night, I know tonight's program was longer than the usual program, but that's because we wanted to get this on film for you, our partners, because we want you to know what you've made a reality in the lives of thousands of people around the globe. So I look forward to seeing you again next week at 7 p.m. Tuesdays, Eastern Time, live with the Christian Adventures Global Community. Find us on Facebook. Find us on the website. Connect with us on YouTube and Twitter. And let's get the conversation going, because we know that I move,
and
you move, and we move together. We have conducted the first live I Move training, and it was truly historic. Seeds planted for great revival and harvest across 250,000 villages of Europe. Can you imagine that this tent has gone up, that 1 million soul winners can be trained, and that together we can, from Belgium, the seat of authority of Europe, reach all of Europe. They are so excited. They're trying to keep us here for October, for May. And I said, wait, folks, we've got ministry in other nations. Come, join us. Because as we move, God's moving. As God moves, we are moving together. There are more spires, more church towers in Belgium than any other nation in the earth. Yet, these churches, many that you see throughout the nation, are empty and without a gospel message. But here we are. We can bring back to the cathedrals the life and the beauty of Christ. Join us on this mission across Belgium and Europe. I move, you move, we move together.